You're listening to Psych to Parent, where we turn brain science into tiny wins at home. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, mom of two, and endurance athlete. I love a good data set and a diagnostic manual, but I also forget permission slips, overthink IEP emails, and occasionally replay the moment I snapped at my kids in the car. In other words, I'm in the messy middle with you, not above it. This show is for parents of big feeling, big thinking kids who are tired of vague advice and Pinterest perfect behavior charts. Each episode, I'll pull back the curtain on what I see in real evaluations, school meetings, my private practice, and my own kitchen, and translate the research into simple scripts, tiny routines, and nervous system friendly tweaks you can actually use. Think of it as a nervous system rehab meets mindset coaching meets a smart, slightly spicy, non-judgy friend in your earbuds. We'll take one real life challenge at a time and shrink it down into 1 or 2 tiny wins you can start this week. No perfection, no 47-step sticker systems, just small, repeatable shifts that add up over time. Quick legal-ish note in plain English. This podcast is for education and support. It's not therapy, it does not create a clinical relationship, and it's not a substitute for personalized medical or mental health advice. If you're worried about your child's safety or mental health, or your own, please reach out to a trusted professional. Okay, deep breath, drop your shoulders. You're not behind and you're not alone. Let's get psyched to parent. It's 7:04 a.m. You've done this morning routine approximately 1 million times. Uniform on, backpack packed, breakfast eaten, out the door by 7:22 a.m. And your kiddo, a second grader, is old enough that your brain is like, we've been doing this school routine since kindergarten. Why isn't this clicking? But your child is still in bed, negotiating like a tiny lawyer. 1 more minute, 1 more minute, 1 more minute, please. You ask 3 times to get out of bed. Then you're checking 10 times to make sure they're actually getting dressed. Because every time you walk away, the scene resets. And then this is the part that makes parents feel like they might levitate. Your kid suddenly becomes playful and silly. They spot a random ball or a toy they haven't touched in like 6 years. And now it's, wait, can I do this one thing? Meanwhile, you're in full go, 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 go mode, trying to get the whole train on the tracks. If this is your morning, hey, you're not alone. And today we're going to do something that lowers shame and raises clarity. We're going to figure out who's driving the morning bus. Welcome back to Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, school psychologist and parent coach for big feeling, big-hearted, strong-willed kiddos. In this episode, we'll be talking about who's driving the morning bus, ADHD, anxiety, or sleep debt. By the end of this episode, you'll have a simple way to run the checks in real time so you can stop guessing, stop spiraling, and stop trying to solve your kid's entire nervous system at 7:11 in the morning. And no, I'm not talking about the convenience store. Because what you need in the morning is not a dissertation. You need a steering wheel. And I'm going to focus on something I see constantly in my practice. Sometimes the thing that looks like ADHD behavior or a kid being difficult is actually sleep and anxiety quietly driving the whole day. Second grade just hits different, and it's for a very specific reason. In kindergarten and first grade, they're full of, we'll do it together. Let's practice the routine. I'll remind you. And in second grade, there starts to be this shift towards, you know what to do, follow the directions, keep track of your things. Yes, I also mean your water bottle. Do it with a little less adult scaffolding. And this shows up at school in a very practical way. Second grade often expects kids to unpack, hang up belongings, follow multi-step directions, start morning work, and manage supplies with less direct prompting from adults. So at home, parents are expecting more independence too. And it's not unreasonable. Your kid is growing. But here's what I'm noticing in my practice. I'm seeing a lot of second graders where parents are saying, Amy, something feels off. Maybe it's more worry, more distraction, more big feelings, more morning chaos, and sleep. Sleep is often the quiet ingredient. So today, we're not diagnosing your child through your phone speaker. We're doing something more useful. We're figuring out what's driving today's chaos so you can respond with the right kind of support. Let's keep it real. I'm in the messy middle with you, and sometimes mornings make saints want to yell too. Before we get nerdy, I want to name the messy middle. Mornings are where parents who love their kids deeply still end up snapping. Not because you're broken, because time pressure is real. Your body is stressed, and your child's body is not exactly cooperating. And second grade adds a particular kind of fuel, that we've done this thing long enough feeling. So if you're feeling the second grade frustration, why isn't this sinking in? You're in the exact right episode. Okay, deep breath. Let's talk about the bus. Picture your child's morning like a bus trying to leave the station. Same bus, same kid, same route. But different drivers can take the wheel on different mornings. And when the driver is driving, the bus does weird stuff. It stalls, it swerves, it stops for the world's most random roadside attraction. Hello, toy from 2018. So I want you to think in 3 drivers, not as diagnoses, but as what's leading the parade today. And I'm going to give each driver a super simple headline so you can remember it when you're tired. Driver number 1. This is what I like to call sleep debt or depletion. The headline would be low fuel brain. This is the driver that says we are operating on low fuel. It can show up looking like this. Your kid might be hard to wake up in the morning, slow to start, keep saying 1 more minute on repeat, might have a short fuse or temper, or might just take a ton of prompts just to get started. And for school-age kids, a lot of bodies do best with roughly 9 to 12 hours. So when you're consistently under that amount, it shows. Driver number 2 is the anxiety alarm brain. The headline for this type of driver is alarm brain wants certainty. This is the driver that says something feels uncertain or unsafe. Not always obvious worry. Sometimes it shows up as stalling, battles for control, perfectionism, this I can't energy. Maybe there's complaints of tummy aches or headaches. They might be extra clingy in the morning, or you might find yourself in this reassurance feedback loop where you keep providing reassurance 17 times. And here's a key point for this episode. Anxiety isn't always dramatic panic. Sometimes anxiety is quiet, like bedtime spiraling. And then it shows up the next morning as a body that can't launch. Driver number 3, this is the one I call the executive function, ADHD-ish kind of needs. The headline for this driver would say something like, needs an external brain. This is the driver that says, I can't run this sequence without more structure. For kids like this, transitions might be sticky. Starting a task may feel hard. Time feels like a mystery. Sometimes novelty will hijack the brain, like ball, toy, a crumb on the floor. And it could look like independence being inconsistent, where you see something like, they can do it, until they can't. And your specific morning scene, hard wake-ups and lots of prompts and playful, silly detours, this often points to a mix of things. Low fuel brain plus needs an external brain. Now, there's one more important thing. Sometimes these drivers stack. Sleep debt makes executive function worse. Executive function struggles create more stress. Stress can create anxiety. So you're not crazy if it's not one clean answer, but we can usually figure out what's driving the bus right now. So let's run the checks. These are the 3 questions I want you to remember. You can run them while you're pouring cereal. Check number 1, what does wake up look like? You ask the question, is their body online yet? If you're getting a kid with a heavy body, slow speech, repeatedly being told 1 more minute, and you feel like you have to return 3 times for your kid to lift off and get out of bed, that's a big clue that low fuel brain is driving. And here's your permission slip. Needing scaffolding at 7 in the morning, it's not failure. It's a capacity mismatch, and we can design for it because reasonable bedtime doesn't always equal restorative sleep. Sleep quality varies. Kids wake up and you don't always know. Some bodies take forever to settle. Some kids are anxious at night. We're not blaming anyone here. We're collecting data. Here's check number 2. What's the flavor of the stall? This is where playful and silly matters. Playful, silly stalling often points to transition friction, attention snagging, sequencing difficulty, or even my brain found a more interesting channel. That's often needs an external brain. Anxiety stalling tends to feel different. It might show up as being more rigid, more tense, more I can't, more what if, more of this like distressed energy kind of vibe. That's often alarm brain wants certainty. So ask yourself this: is this a silly snag or is this an alarm brain moment? Check number 3. What helps the fastest? This is our recovery clue. This is my favorite clue because it pulls you out of debate mode and into detective mode. You ask this: when I do X, does the bus get back on the road? If low fuel brain is driving, mornings typically improve the fastest with more sleep runway, more fuel, fewer demands, and calmer pacing. If alarm brain wants certainty is driving your kid's brain, we typically see mornings improve fastest with more certainty, previewing, smaller steps, and calm confidence. If needs an external brain is driving, mornings improve fastest with external structure, visual steps, timers, body doubling, first then, fewer words, and tuck this away for later. What helps fast tells you who's driving. Now let's make this ridiculously concrete. Kind of think same kid, different driver. Picture the same second grader on 3 different days. Mini morning A, low fuel brain is driving. This might be where you do the gentle wake up. They roll over like they're made of cement. You might hear, 1 more minute. You come back and then you hear 1 more minute. You come back again and they're still negotiating. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have time for this. Then they start getting dressed for school, but they drift. You check 10 times because their brain keeps falling out of the routine. Parent thought might be they're doing this on purpose. But here's the brain translation. This kiddo's body is running on fumes. If low fuel brain is driving, your job is not to increase urgency. Your job is to reduce load and protect tonight's sleep runway. Mini morning B. This is where the alarm brain wants certainty is driving your kiddo. Your kid might wake up and start scanning for certainty. Are you sure it's library day? Where's my library book? I can't find my socks. No, not that pair of socks, the other pair of socks I need. What if everyone notices? Or you might get the quiet version of this, where your kid is clingy, they get stuck, maybe they're tearful, they have some stomach aches. Sometimes the parent thought is, why are we doing this right now? But the brain translation for this situation, certainty is first, then I can move. When alarm brain is driving, your job is to preview and contain and go to the next step. Here's mini morning C. This is where we see an external brain is driving, where you might see your kid waking up in the morning and they're up, kind of. They start dressing and then the ball appears, then the toy, then they're wandering around the house. And then you say, brush your teeth, and they're holding a marker. It's not panic. It's not anger. It's like their brain keeps getting hijacked by whatever is most interesting in the room. Parent thought to this might be, why can't you just do it? But the brain translation would be this. This is a brain that needs a checklist and fewer open loops. Now, here's the twist that matters for today's episode. Sometimes anxiety isn't driving at 7:04 in the morning. Sometimes anxiety drove the night before, and the morning is the fallout. Which brings me to a real pattern I see all the time. Let me give you a real life case example from my practice. Obviously, I've de-identified the composite. A caregiver came to parent coaching recently and described a child who is bright, verbally confident, and had recently started telling classmates, I'm smarter than you. Not in this movie villain kind of way, more like a kid who didn't fully register the social impact of their words. Now, the teacher addressed it at school and then emailed home to reinforce the expectations. And the caregiver reported to me that they felt this awful mix of embarrassment and discouragement, while also sharing that they appreciated that the teacher communicated early and clearly. Now, here's the piece that matters for this episode. At home, the family had had several disrupted nights of sleep, nightmares, multiple kids waking up, early morning wake ups, and the caregiver noticed that their child's bedtime anxiety had ramped up. There was this need for more reassurance, more "I can't fall asleep," more clingy energy, more spiraling thoughts. And when a kid is sleeping poorly and worrying more at bedtime, the next day can look like having low frustration tolerance, being impulsive with their words, having less of a social filter, maybe appearing more distractible, and maybe the kid has less flexibility. Here's the line I want you to remember. Quiet bedtime anxiety often shows up the next day as ADHD-ish kind of behavior. Not because your kid is faking it or being dramatic, but because their nervous system is under-resourced. And in that case, when bedtime got stabilized even a little bit, when the reassurance spiral got contained, the next day's behavior softened. Now, it wasn't perfect, it wasn't magically gone, but it got softer. That's the nervous system telling you, yes, that was part of the driver. So your job isn't to solve your child forever. Your job is to notice the pattern and choose the right support. And that brings us to the part everyone wants at 7:11 in the morning. And no, it's not a Slurpee. It's an answer to this question. What do I say? Here are some parent scripts that you can borrow from me and are meant to be used in the morning. They're meant to be short because oftentimes more words in the morning just equal more bounce. Script number 1. This is for the slow start, 1 more minute loop. You can say something like this. I hear you want more time. You can have 1 more minute, then I'm coming back and we're starting together. Script number 2. This is for external brain mode with 3 steps. You can say this. I'm going to be your checklist today. There are 3 steps. Uniform, breakfast, backpack. I'll tell you the next step when you finish the first. Script number 3. For the silly, playful detour. You could say this. Oh, wow. Your brain found something interesting. Fun brain is welcome. And it's not toy time. Morning steps first. Toys can be on the list for later. Script number 4. This is great if anxiety shows up and you find yourself in this certainty-seeking spiral. I hear your worry. We're doing the plan. Step 1, get dressed. Then I'll answer your question. Script number 5. This is for bedtime anxiety because we know it could affect the next day. I hear your worry. Worry wants more talking, and talking makes bedtime longer. We're doing our plan. 1 more hug, 1 more sentence, lights out. I'll check on you in 5 minutes. Short, predictable, contained. Now let's bridge home and school because teachers can give you clues about the driver. If mornings are chaos and you're trying to sort sleep debt versus anxiety versus executive function, the school's first part of the day can help. And here's the key. You're not asking them to diagnose, just to describe patterns. Here are 3 questions that give us useful data. How does my child look at arrival? Slow, scattered, tense? Do they need extra prompts to unpack and start? What helps them re-engage the fastest? Visual steps, a movement break, reassurance, proximity from the teacher. Sometimes it can be helpful to have an email that you send to your child's classroom teacher. Here's a copy and paste email you can borrow from me that you can send to your teacher when you're trying to figure out who's driving the bus in your family. Hi, Mr. Smith. We're noticing increased morning stroll at home. Slower starts, lots of prompting, and distraction. I'm trying to understand whether this is more sleep depletion, anxiety worry, or executive function attention kind of things with my kiddo. Would you please share what you noticed in the first part of the day? How does my child arrive? How do they transition and unpack? What helps them re-engage the fastest? Thank you. Your observations help us support them without guessing. All right, now I want to give you a plan that's doable and not overwhelming. Let's talk tiny wins. Remember, pick 1 is enough. All right, Now I want to give you a plan that feels doable without being overwhelming. Before I do that, here's the if you only remember one thing from this episode. Remember this. What helps fastest usually tells us who's driving. That's your clue. Okay, here's your 7-day morning lab. It's not about doing a perfect morning. It's about a 1-week experiment. Tiny win number 1, the 3-step card where we make it visible. This is where you might write the 3 things that need to be done in the morning. Uniform, breakfast, backpack. Put it where they get dressed. That's it. 3 steps. Tiny win number 2, using body doubling for liftoff. Instead of checking 10 times, do 5 minutes of I'm here support at the hardest start. It might be wake up in uniform or breakfast start. Presence first, independence later. Tiny win number 3, protect the bedtime runway. Pick one bedtime anchor. Maybe it's the same start time. Maybe it's the same 2-step wind down. Could be devices out of the bedroom. You're not building a spa night. You're just building predictability. Tiny win number 4, the 5-day sleep and worry note. For 5 days, jot 1 sentence. It can be in your phone, on a sticky note. What I want you to know is what bedtime is like, waking up in the morning, what the bedtime worry level is like, and then the morning vibe after. We're looking for patterns, not perfection. Pick one is enough. Thank you so much for being part of the Psych to Parent community and listening to the podcast. I have 3 favors to ask of you. Favor number 1, share this episode with one parent friend. If you know a parent who's living the who's driving the bus reality, send them this episode. Favor number 2, head to the show notes and grab the freebie. If your house has after-school runway, homework shutdowns, or volcano moments, go grab the Volcano Moments and Hurricane Level Feelings Phrases Guide. So you have 1 line to say before your kid explodes, and you don't have to improvise in the moment. It's linked in the show notes. Favor number 3, leave a quick review for the show. If Psych to Parent has helped you feel less alone or helped you walk into a school conversation clearer, would you take 30 seconds to leave a review? Reviews are how this show reaches the parents who are currently questioning what's going on at 7-Eleven in the morning. So today, we named the 2nd grade morning rush for what it is, a time-pressured nervous system obstacle course, where kids can know the routine and still struggle to execute it when their bodies are tired, their anxiety is quietly working overtime, and their brains get snagged by transitions and novelty. You learn the who's driving the morning bus framework and the 722 driver check. Wake up, flavor of the stall, and what helps fastest. So you can stop guessing and start supporting what's driving the chaos today. We'll keep making the homeschool puzzle less mysterious together. One who's driving the morning bus check at a time, one 722 routine card at a time, one less bedtime reassurance spiral, one calmer wake-up plan, one tiny win that protects tomorrow morning. And the next time you sit at that tiny round table in that tiny chair, remember, schools have expertise and you are the expert on your child. Your insight is not extra, it's essential. You're not behind, you're building a partnership, and you're building skills, yours and theirs. One small, doable step at a time. Until next time, my friends. Thank you for hanging out with me on Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, your not so typical school psychologist, and I'm genuinely glad you're here doing this work instead of quietly white knuckling it and blaming yourself. Your tiny win from today's episode is simple. Do not overhaul your entire parenting style. Pick one idea, one sentence, or one tiny shift and try it in a low stakes moment this week. Then notice what changes, even if it is just by 1%. If you want more support, head over to psychtoparent.com. You'll find show notes, simple scripts, and parent-friendly guides that go with these episodes. While you're there, make sure you join the Tiny Wins mailing list so you get weekly brain-based tips, real-life examples from my work with families, and first dibs on new workshops and resources. It's the easiest way for us to stay connected beyond the podcast. If this podcast was helpful, it really does matter when you tap follow or subscribe. Leave a quick review or text it to a friend who is parenting a big-feeling, big-hearted kid too. This podcast is for education and encouragement. It is not therapy, and it's not a substitute for individualized care. If you're worried about your child or yourself, please reach out to a trusted professional in your area. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are building something new, one tiny win at a time. I'll see you in the next episode, probably with a cold coffee in hand, cheering you on.